Day. I'm always prompt and on time. Welcome. Welcome to the live. Oh, I am peeling some plantains and I have not. I was not lucky. The one that I bought doesn't look that good, but that's okay. We will make do. So I'm peeling and then I am putting it in a hot boiling water bath, right? And we are going to boil this plantain to make mangu. Hola, whoever joined. Today we're going to be making mangu. I'm going to wait a few minutes before I explain what mangu is and how I am making a healthier version of mangu. So sit tight. How are you guys? I am doing well. I had a little sore hip this morning. Yesterday I hadn't been walking all week. Let me tell you, I'm going to talk about this YouTube thing because this YouTube thing can make you unhealthy. And I am not going to put up with that. Nope. Because you're on the computer, you're sitting in front of a screen. And that's why somebody said when you are a digital nomad, that is a challenge for you to stay healthy. You have to be so disciplined to make yourself get up, walk, do your exercise. It is not easy, let me tell you. I think it's probably a good idea to have someone like an accountability partner to say, okay, Maggie, let's go for a walk. It's time for you to work out because it is a challenge. And you know, one of the risk factors of heart disease is a sedentary lifestyle. That means people who sit at a desk all day. And we don't want to do that. That's why when I go to the mall, when I'm going to the metro and they have all these flights of stairs, most of the time I make myself take those stairs, even though there's an escalator there, because I'm like, a little bit more I can do is better. All right, so we are peeling some plantain. I'm only doing like 3. Listen, last week, when I made the plantains and I ate those plantains, I paid for it. I'm still bloated. You know, you get to a point when you get older, you can't cheat at all. If I cheat today, I feel it the next day. Either in my face, well, I don't have a butt, but it's usually in the belly. Good morning, Angela, Denise, Techno, Kernes. What are you cooking? I am making mangu, and we're going to talk about what mangu is, even though it's going to be a healthier version. It's good to see you guys. Yeah, if I cheat, last year, I remember I was doing a food, before I went to South Africa, I said, I'm going to do a food tour. I'm going to do it again this year. I'm going to go and taste a lot of the Panamanian dishes. Now, one of the breakfasts they cook here, there is no egg, sausage, nothing like that. It's like empanada, tortillas, hojaldre, and we talk about that later. Fried chicken, rice and peas. Sometimes if you go to a fonda, you'll see something that looks like oatmeal. But let me tell you, it is sweet. Whew. When you're in Panama, you have to be intentional about eating healthy, because if you keep eating out and in the fondas, you're not going to do good. Especially you older. Remember, we got to take care of the temple. But anyway, mangu, I decided to do today. I know somebody asked me to do salmon. I think maybe I'll do the salmon next week. I want to do like a quinoa salad for you guys, but loaded with all kinds of good stuff. And then we can do the salmon, and you can put it on top if you want. I, I haven't had salmon because they don't have it here. Not that I don't like it. I love salmon. My my fish store in Florida, in Orlando. Oh my God. But then again, you start reading about, is it farm raised or is it, what is it, wild caught, and all kinds of craziness. But anyway, so Mangu is a Dominican breakfast meal. You know, we in Central America, Latin America, Caribbean, we love plantains. Even in Africa, Ghanaians love plantain. In fact, fufu is a mixture of, is it yuca and plantain? They beat it up and then, anyway. So in the Dominican Republic, mangu is like the breakfast. So if you're Dominican, please, you can chime in. So they mash the plantain, they boil it, they mash it, and then they put all kinds of seasoning in it and big pat of what they call butter, but it's not really butter. It's like a very unhealthy margarine. I know, I grew up with it. It's like orange, yellow. It used to come in a can, and we put that stuff. It was the holy grail. We put it in everything. But now I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. You know, it's like, I think about what I used to feed my kids. I feel so bad because I used to buy those Kool-Aid gallon thing, right? And I used to send the kids to, for their lunch, the mini pizzas, and none of that stuff is healthy. That Kool-Aid was full of additives and horrible. But you know, I didn't know any better. And I think that's what's happening here in Panama. People are raised eating a certain thing. They don't question it because that's culture from my origin. But as we get older, as I was saying in my last video, you need to pull back a little bit. You don't have to have rice 3 times a day. Go down to like twice and then go down to once a day and portion, right? So mangu, you mash the plantain, you season it, you put that butter stuff in it. And on the side, you have fried eggs, you have fried salami that is kind of on the thick side. When I had the restaurant, I used to make it on the weekend and it would go berserk. People loved it. And then you also have cheese. You fried the cheese. And then that's it. And there is a couple on TikTok or YouTube, and they live in the campo, which means, you know, in the interior, and they cook traditional Dominican meal, and they were making that last week. And in addition to all the fried cheese, fried egg, fried salami, they had a side of the avena, which is the oatmeal, of course, you know, with lots of milk and sugar. And I'm looking, and those people don't look healthy either. And I was like, oh my God, we keep eating this day in and day out, week in and week out. It's gonna do something to your body. Your liver, your pancreas, they're gonna say, I'm tired. And as a woman, when you go to menopause, and then estrogen said, I'm tired too, I'm taking a break. And when estrogen leaves the building, then you're in trouble. That's when all the weight comes, you know, talk about belly fat. So the belly fat is part of what we call the metabolic syndrome. You know, metabolism is how you process food, you know, with energy, you burn fat, you store fat. But when you get older, all that creeps to a halt. And next thing you know, you're like, your clothes don't fit. And we're like, oh, I think it's shrunk in the dryer. No, honey, it didn't shrink in the dryer. We got bigger. We all got bigger. I weighed 116 pounds when I got married. And I was having really some hard time when I got married. And so within 6 months, I had gained 9 pounds. So I got to 125. Oh my God, a little thing on my cheeks. I look good. I don't even tell you how much I weigh now. It's awful. With each child, I think I have 3. I kept like 5 pounds. So I went up to like 135. I was still looking real skinny because I was a little taller. I've lost a couple of inches. That's another thing that happens as you get older. And then, 20 years later, you like, what happened? 20, 30 pounds. And I don't know if you saw my story. I think I'll do another video about it. What really got me into going whole food plant based is that in 2022, I was getting ready on my wife. Oh, my wife. Do you play guitar? No, Scott, I don't play guitar. If you start chugging, you need to drop 260 just a guess. I'm not sure what that is. But anyway, I went to the doctor, and when I got on the scale, it says 203 or 209, and I was flabbergasted. I was so distraught. And I was like, oh my God, I have to do something. And then my cholesterol was up, my LDL, the bad cholesterol was up. My HDL is always good, which is because I've always been active and doing aerobics. And my triglycerides were always really low. So there is something, I'm a cardiology nurse. There is something they call the ratio. I think it's from HDL to total cholesterol. And it needs to be like between 3 and 5 or something like that. So when your HDL is really low, then your ratio is going to be high. And that's a risk factor for heart disease. So as you get older, things just don't work the same. And when you tell people you need to pull back on what you eat, and I tell people when you're eating, just look at your plate. What is on your plate, right? What is the ratio of things on your plate? You should have more veggies than starch, right? You need protein. What are the main food groups that we need? I don't know if you remember the food pyramid years ago. They don't use that anymore. But it used to be protein, carbs, grains, fruits, and nuts or something like that. So when you're looking at your plate, the ratio of carb to protein to anything else on your plate, it needs to match. That's why when I see the rice like this, and then you see the chicken, no veggies, how is that good for you? It's not. And there's something it says, without knowledge the people perish. It's a word in the Bible. But research shows that even if people are educated, they're smart, they have big jobs, and they're educated, they have degrees, but when it comes to lifestyle and habits, they're resistant. They still eat bad. Because let me tell you, I can guarantee you, if you're eating out 4 or 5 times a week, you're not being healthy. I own a cafe for 2 years. And when I went to culinary school, we rotated through different kitchens. And I worked for Disney for a few months. I see what happens in the back of we call it the back of the house, in the back of, in the kitchen. Not all kitchens are run the same way. Things about cleanliness, how you touch food. Now, I'm cooking for myself, so I'm not worried about wearing gloves. But if I'm in a commercial area, there's something we call RTE, ready to eat food. If you're going to touch fruits and salad, anything you go to somebody's plate, you have to wear gloves. And you cannot wear the same gloves for your whole shift. I remember I went to a seminar, and then we went to a place to have lunch, and they were doing, it was a taco salad. I don't know if you remember, in the US, they have the big shell, and then you just put things in it, the ground beef. My kids got sick from Taco Bell once. It was like, no more. And then this woman was the cash register, which is something that happens in food service. They are short staffed. People are multitasking. And the girl had some plastic gloves on. She was checking people out with the cash. And then when somebody ordered the salad, she just, with the same gloves, went in there and started doing this. And I remember it was even before I became a chef. I was like, excuse me. I said, aren't you going to change your gloves? I mean, she huffed and puffed. And I'm like, no, no, no. You're not going to, touch my food like that. And that's why when you're a traveler, I see all these guys on YouTube saying, oh, we're going to have street food, this, street food, that. I don't do that. And I've traveled quite a bit. When I go to a country, I am not going to eat from the side of the road. People are selling fish and stuff from a cooler in the back of their van, their truck. You don't know where that food has been. And that's how you have to be careful. So eat at home as much as you can, because when you cook your food, you know what you've put in it. So looking at your plate, and you have to say, how much carb do I have on here? How many vegetables do I have on here? Look at the ratio, okay? And then I always say, how much fat, how much sugar, how much carb on my plate. And if it's like, once in a while we all cheat, like this morning I had some coffee and a few little rolls that I went to Ray this morning. I have this thing about once a month, I allow myself certain things. Once a month, I have the fried fish with patacones. Once a month, I go and get maybe a croissant. They didn't have a croissant today, with coffee. What else do I eat? But I think I was telling you guys about the beef when I tried it last week with the breakfast. They had the tortilla, there were no eggs, and then they had some beef, and it was so hard. And I was taking videos, and I ate it. Oh, I got so sick. I got so sick. Because once you clean your system, you start eating clean, and then you cheat, you're gonna feel it. And then it's not worth it. You're like right now, I'm kind of bloated. It's like, it's not worth it, right? All right, good morning. Tune into drive. I don't know what that is. New here. Hola, Dallas, born Boston bred. Wow. Thank you for your good advice and kind words to us, menopausal women. Much love. It's my pleasure. I started having symptoms of menopause, I think I was maybe 52, but I was lucky. Mine didn't last a long time. And I'm checking the plantain. Actually, a little bit more. Now they talk about perimenopause. Perimenopause is what happens even before you start having irregular menses. And, the mood swings, a little depression, the irritability, and the weight gain, it starts happening. And I talked about that, I think 2 weeks ago, about not just the physical things that happen to our bodies, but the mental, right? And the same thing with COVID. We worried about people's kidneys and the lungs. Like my x-ray, I saw it was really white. It's not supposed to be like that. So you worry about that. But the people who are suffering the most with long COVID are those with the mental problems. They act like they have dementia. People can't remember things. They can't taste. That's part of a nervous system thing. And they get irritable or they can't sleep. I mean, it just does a number. So the more you know, and I said, the more people around you understand that, hormones are so vital for our bodies. I mean, we didn't understand just a drop in estrogen can cause so much havoc in our bodies, and it does. And at my age, it probably is not even there. And of course, some doctors would give you a replacement, and then they worry about breast cancer and all kinds of craziness, right? So people with menopause, I had some of the hot flashes. It wasn't so bad. It didn't last long. But when it was coming up, oh my God. I mean, I would be sitting. I remember sitting in a boardroom with guys, white guys only. And then I could feel the heat coming from the bottom of my feet, and I was wearing a suit. And I was like, oh no. Because what was going to happen is like I was going to break out into a sweat. My face was going to start draining. So I said, excuse me, I need to go to the restroom. So I ran to the bathroom and started mopping my face and took my jacket off and was trying to cool myself off. It was crazy. And even now, I don't have hot flashes per se, but sometimes the AC will be on and I just feel warm, right? And then it goes away. So this little lady told me, honey, you never get over it. I'm in my 70s, I still get hot flashes. I'm like, oh no, oh no. But anyway, so Mangu, today I am going to mash the plantain. Now, there are so many things as a cook I don't have here. I have a suitcase at home in Florida and I'm going back to get it because when I left it, I was going to the Peace Corps and I was like, I'm not going to cook. So my pans and stuff are still there. But when you don't have your favorite pan, your favorite saute pan, and I did buy one here in at Conway to cook rice when I have company. And then there is something we call pilon. If you go to a Caribbean store, I'm on a mission to get the rest of this excess fluff off. You can. It's a battle. And that's the way you need to think about it. It's a battle, but it takes daily changes and discipline. That's the thing I struggle with the most. I would say, okay, I'm gonna go to the gym once a day. I have my yoga mat right next to my bed. I'm gonna stretch and do things once a day. You think I did it? No. So again, it's like every couple of days I make a new resolution. And then hoping that I'm gonna stick to it. That's my problem. I just don't stick to it. But anyway, we have a pilon that looks different, and it's like, I remember my pilon still at home. It's long, it's got a white base, and then it's got a bigger, I don't know what you call this, but that's what we usually use to mash. So I don't have that. And one of the things you have to do here in Panama is that you have to adjust and use whatever something else. So we're gonna do the Mangu. We're gonna do the. Oh, okay, that's good now. It's good. So we're going to let it cool for a little bit. And in the meantime, I was gonna make pikliz. Pikliz is like, I don't know if you guys know. I was born in Haiti in the Caribbean, and Haitian food is the best in my opinion. But I know I'm biased. Haitian food takes time, but it's worth the time. Pikliz is a pickled cabbage that we make, like a slaw, except you don't have any mayonnaise or any creamy stuff in it, right? It's got hot peppers. It is very hot. But of course, we love heat, right? One of the things I struggled with when I came here is that I couldn't find habanero peppers. And then one day I went to Ray, which is where I shop, and I saw a little thing. I was like, oh my God. So I grabbed it. Just like I found lima bean last week. It's like, oh, so I got 2 bags. So we mash that into, and I'll show you how I make it. And then you can put it in a jar. And once you put it in a jar, you don't have to refrigerate it. And it's got a lot of vinegar, of course, because it's pickled. You're pickling that vegetable. So it's salt, pepper, vinegar. That's it. And then once you cook, your griot. Anybody knows what griot is? Griot is fried pork that I haven't had in a couple of years. That sounds healthy. Yeah. And then you can put it over anything. Like if I make patacones, I mash the plantain, you can put it on top as an appetizer. So if you're having a party, you can do the plantain cups. Like I have this presser with the funnel. You put the piece of plantain and you mash it. It comes out like a cup. You can put some of that slaw in there. You can put it over rice, over anything. So we just like to have it around because that's like a security blanket. But I don't have a lot of jars, but I wash some of these and I'll put some of them. And then I gift them to my friends. In fact, around Christmas, I make biscotti, and then I make pikliz, and that's what I put in a little basket, in a little bag, and I give to my friend. It has more I think they appreciate it more than if I went to the store and buy a tie, right? Who needs another tie? Anyway, all right. So this is the plantain. The plantains, they cooked. All right. So I'm gonna let it cool. So let's just get the Pikliz started, okay? I had bought a leek, and then I'll put that in my veggie. So instead of having fried eggs, fried salami, fried cheese, nah. I'm gonna do a side of veggies, of peppers, and I'm gonna put that extra leek slices in there, and I washed some fresh spinach. I'm gonna put it in there as a side, and then I have avocado, and then I have a Roma tomato that we're going to slice. So this is what you do with food. Let's say you're from another country and you want the comfort of having something familiar, just adjust it. You don't have to do it exactly the same, because the Caribbean diet is very unhealthy. I mean, you can come at me if you like, but I didn't live this long. I've tried them all, and the frying and the grease, and it's just not good for us when we get to be seasoned, okay? That's all I'm saying. When you're young, you want to indulge, go right ahead. But anyway, I got some peppers. Remember, you eat with your eyes. The more color you have, the more appealing the food. And of course, with moi, we're very intent about seasoning your food, okay? Salt and pepper are not the only thing you can put in food. Hear me now. Use herbs, use lemon, lime, and then when you taste your food, you're like, wow, it tastes really good. So you can do that, okay? Collard green with smoked turkey neck. I have not, well, I used to in the past. I don't think I've seen collards here. I found kale, but I don't really care for kale. I like to put kale in smoothies. I love spinach, but I don't like kale. I don't know why. But I like cabbage as well. You can use the collard greens, but you know that turkey neck is smoked, so it's not healthy. I used to tell people, and they used to get mad at me. I said, all that barbecue you guys are eating in and out is not healthy. Case in point, you guys, there is a lot of noise, articles, and research being done about the increased number of colon cancer in younger people, young people in their 20s. They don't know why they're coming down with colon cancer. So there is a rush to do research now, right? And they're thinking it's the diet, it could be genetic, it could be all kinds of things, right? Because we don't know for sure. And one thing about research, and I tell myself that, and I'm a clinician, you know, I'm a nurse practitioner, I believe in research. But unless something has been researched over and over and they've gotten the same result, I don't pay attention to it. Because everybody comes up with an article, oh, all of a sudden this is bad for you. And then 5 years later, they're like, oops, we were wrong. Things like aspirin, anti-cholesterol medicine, all these kind of things. So always take things with a grain of salt and do your research. When you go see a physician or whoever it is, have information. And if they get offended because you're asking questions, get another provider, okay? Because if they can't take the time to answer your question, they're not worth being your medical provider. And I'm telling it to you as a medical provider myself. Hi, Jane. Do you think, Brian, get out of here. We're not talking politics here on this show. No, I'm not making collard green. I'm making mangu, and I'm making mangu with a side of veggies. And then we're gonna have a tomato and avocado. So remember that little tidbit about research. Don't just jump on every bandwagon every time somebody says, oh, and then you jumping here and there. Don't do that. Just have, because you know, things like vegetables being healthy for you, that has stood the test of time, right? Exercise being good for you, that has stood this, you know, the test of time. smoking being bad for you. Now, alcohol is a big thing now. They used to say you don't, overindulge in alcohol, but one glass of red wine is good for you. Well, in the last few months, they're saying not even a drop of alcohol is good for you. I'm not just going to be running around saying, oh my God, I can't have a glass of wine. No, because chances are they're going to come back 5 years later and say, oh, we were wrong. You can still have your glass of wine. We're not puppets. Because remember, these people who are doing the research, they're trying to put money in their pocketbook, okay? The pharmaceutical company, they're not looking out for you. They're looking at their profit. That's why it's such a mess in the US. We cannot get the price of drugs down because it's like the money. It's about the money. It's about the money. It just blows my mind. Just the food. If you read, they're telling you a bunch of food that are here fed to us in the US, I'm not in the US anymore, are banned in Europe because of how bad they are. The additive, the chemicals. They were like, you're not going to bring this thing here. You're killing our people. But with us, they go on TV and they say, oh, come on, come and get it. Come and get it. The marketing is all about the green. Another thing I wanted to tell you guys, when you look at a big company, and I probably shouldn't name names, but big brands that when it comes to food or beverage, they are putting the corn syrup, when you're looking at the ingredient on your food, especially your drinks, everything, high fructose corn syrup, that has started a cascade of death and disease in America when they started it in 1950s, 1960s. They know the stuff is bad, but they still put it in their food. And you know what those companies do? They'll create a foundation on the side to make it look like they care about the community. So they'll say, oh, we're killing you over here with the high sugar stuff and all the processed food, but we have this foundation over here. We give scholarships, we give money to kids, and they think that assuage their guilt. In Africa, poor countries, I should say, you should see the marketing that those big soft drink companies are doing. Here in Panama, if they have any event in the school, guess what they're drinking? They have coupons, they give scholarships, but yet at 7 o'clock in the morning, what do you see the average person walk around? A can, another can for lunch, another can for dinner, 7 days a week. What do you think that's going to do to you? But people are oblivious. Unless you have a government that cares about its people and say, no, we want to protect our people. But because it's all special interests, it's about the money. You can't take my stuff away. We don't have a conscience. Why are you talking about like you have a conscience? Anyway, I'm sorry. I got another soapbox because that bothers me to no end. Because people are just peons. We have no value when it comes to big corporations. They know what they're doing is wrong, but yet they're not doing anything about it. So it's up to you to take your power back, right? And I go down these aisles. I don't buy, I go to the produce and I buy stuff. If I need something to clean the house or whatever, but I refuse to buy your stuff that is bad for me, but you insist on keeping it on the shelves. All right. Okay. I'm done. All right. Let's see. All right. We're going to make our Pikliz. I have this beautiful bowl. I love this bowl. All right. So we're going to be chopping this cabbage. I may not do all of it. And we're going to chop it really fine. I did get one of those slicer things, but I don't know. I don't think I understand exactly how to use it yet. So yeah, that's it's really crazy. When I was in Africa, one of my teachers, my language teachers, I started talking about Coca-Cola. Oh my God, he got upset. He's like, don't take my Coke away. I'm like, I'm not taking your Coke away. I'm telling you, you probably 30. By the time you're in your 40s, you're gonna have diabetes. Huh? But they don't care because sugar is an addiction. You know, the more you eat it, the more you want. And my point about somebody being educated and still not willing to make changes. I was, when I was working in the ICU, one of my managers, she was a bright woman. She was going to school to get her PhD. Why do you think she walked in at 7 o'clock in the morning? A Diet Coke. And people think they're going to assuage their conscience by saying, but it's diet. Is it really healthier? Do you believe Diet Coke is healthier than a regular Coke? It's not. You just exchanging sugar for something, some other chemical that's going to damage your body. So my point is education doesn't mean somebody understands and wants to make changes for their health. I used to have patients that would say, oh, Miss Maggie, just sit down. I'll take my medicine. They think that they can eat whatever they want and then, you know, take the medicine. They'll eat the cake, they'll eat whatever. You know, people going crazy about, what's that donut? What is it? They have, anyway, you know what I mean. I don't remember the name of it, but is there any nutrition in a donut? Do you think there is? Besides sugar and flour? Oh my God. I get so tired that sometimes I feel like I'm not gonna even bother because people don't want to hear. When you say this is not good for you, we're not saying never eat it, but you just don't want to eat it every single day for, you know, años, for years. That is not good. I've worked on mindset. I love my plants, but if I choose something else, I enjoy it, no guilt. Then choose to go straight back to my yummy, healthy food. It's what you do on the regular. You're right. You're right. The only thing for me now is like when I cheat, my body tells me. So it's not even my my conscience. It's just my body just not used to it anymore. It revolts. And after, you know, I cheat and then I see the result, I always ask myself, was it worth it? I guess it's relative, right? You get a temporary pleasure. But at the same time, you know, if you're just trying to eat healthy, I just tell people, start with the thing that you know is the worst. We all know sugar is bad, right? Do you believe that there's some value? Hello, I'm fine, Temple. Your soapbox is my soapbox. Thank you. Sometimes I forget. I just go on and I'm like, okay, I'm done. I used to go to a church, and whenever we have an event, a wedding, they bring the same food that they've had, you know, at home, but still they eat so much of it, the plates. And I would look and they're like, Miss Maggie, don't say anything. Don't say anything about my rice. So it's like they have a little meat with their rice. I'm like, and you know what? The majority of them are overweight and with diabetes and high blood pressure. I belong to a group on Facebook, and then it was they were cooking ethnic food. There is a food that we cook, we call it legume. Legume it's not a stew. It's like you cook meat, usually beef, especially with bones and stuff. And then you add eggplant, chayote, carrots, spinach. And then towards the end, you can add some crab. It gives it a certain taste, which is what we're used to. So I made one and I'm like, I'm trying to be healthy. So I'm keeping the meat out, but I can make it taste just as good. Oh my God, this woman got on my soapbox. She was just so upset. Well, this is a page about food and things. I'm like, okay, ma'am, you go ahead and eat that in your 60s and 70s if you make it that far. And I'll see you in my clinic trying to control your blood sugar and hypertension or when you have your stroke. I know sometimes I shouldn't be like that, but you do get a little tired of people refusing. It's not even they say, oh, okay, I'm trying. We all trying, right? Because we all fall sometime. But if you categorically refuse to take care of yourself, do you know I had a cardiology doctor that I work with. He was old school. And he said, if you come to see me in my office, he gives them a diet and exercise. And he sees you in 3 months. If he doesn't see any change, he drops you as a patient. After you had a heart attack, he tells you what to do, you don't do it, he won't even take care of you. But he was old and nobody dared to say anything to him. And then I was reading, I didn't know this person, but I was reading about this guy who was grossly overweight, smoking. Is there anything good about smoking? Does anybody believe that there's something good about smoking? Except for that thing it does in your brain to give you a sense of pleasure, that's all. The guy refused to, some people struggle, like I say. He wasn't even willing to try. And then he had a heart attack. Do you know, he died. His widow sued the cardiologist and said, well, you didn't tell him strongly enough that he needed to lose weight and change his ways. Therefore, you're responsible for his death. And the kicker was the courts agreed with her and gave her millions of dollars. This is what is wrong with our healthcare system. People refusing to take care of themselves and then blaming somebody else. Oh, all right. So I've got the cabbage. Ooh, looks pretty. So now I'm gonna grate some carrots. Where's my grater? Okay, now I brought it. Yeah, you wanna grate it coarsely. You don't want it to be like you're making a carrot cake. And that's another thing. I haven't had a piece of cake, I don't know in how long. I was never a sweet tooth, but anyway. So that's the problem with our healthcare system. People feeling entitled and blaming everybody else. Then we're gonna add some jalapeno. I love jalapeno. I love just the taste. Once in a while, I'll cook a couple of eggs and then I'll put jalapeno in it. I don't know. There's something about the taste that I love. All right. So, and I washed all my veggies before I got started, you guys. Usually I take the seeds out, but because I want this, because it's supposed to be hot, I'm not going to take the seeds out. Love jalapeno. I don't want them to break because I like them whole. Ooh, that looks pretty. And jalapeno is usually so cheap. And if you don't like hot, jalapeno is a nice way to introduce yourself to a little bit of heat because it's not as hot as the habanero that I'm going to be chopping. All right, here is a habanero. When it's red, it's hotter, and the more seeds you leave, the hotter it is. Okay, so don't handle that and then rub your eyes. No bueno. But because again, this is supposed to be hot, I'm not going to take the seeds out. okay? Yep. Panama next month, no, November is gonna be Independence Month. And they're gonna have all kinds of events. So it's like the party month. So if you have any business you wanna get done in November, good luck. Their mind is gonna be on the parties. And they love to go to the interior to their family because a lot of people work here, but their families are in the campo, I call it. So you go to the transport place and it is popping, okay? All right, I'm gonna put a little bit of bell pepper. Finally, ooh, I can smell the heat. So just give it a rough chop. I don't want them too small. All right. Okay. So now we're gonna season with salt, pepper, and vinegar. That's it. And then we mix it. And then we put them in a jar. And in the jar, this Pikliz can last for weeks. And you don't need to refrigerate it. But if you want to put it in the fridge, you can. But it's not necessary. Some people will put more peppers in it. Some people will put, what else do they put in there? Oh, I know what I'm going to put some cilantro. But today I found some parsley, so I'm going to put some parsley. But cilantro would be good. I have had the hardest time finding thyme lately. Today I found some, but they look really different. So do you guys have any questions when I'm doing this here? This is the time to ask. Rainy season. It's been raining, but not crazy raining. We've had a few little storms here and there, but not crazy. But what has surprised me about this year is that we've had several people die from lightning strikes here. You know, they have a lot of rios, a lot of rivers in the interior. I don't know if you guys know that Panama, okay, here we're gonna put a lot of white vinegar, okay? You look at that, that's a lot. And we're gonna put some salt and some pepper. Oops. Himalayan salt would be too mild. I need regular salt. All right, and salt. Iodized salt if you're going to use it, because we need the iodine for our thyroid, guys. So don't buy just, I mean, if you have a thyroid problem and you're taking thyroid medicine, you may not. But otherwise, iodine that's in it is very important for our bodies. Woo, look at this beauty. My crocky, she's a beauty. All right, oh, that looks so good. And it smells amazing, right? You can put that on your ribs, on your chicken. Sometimes if you do sliders, you could put some in there. So let me taste it. Woo. Hot. Woo. Yeah. He's got the heat. But I have a friend who is from Honduras, and she's like, I like heat. I'm like, okay. But you know, if you're pickling something, you want to put a little bit of salt on it. Remember, I'm not one of those people that says you can't have, you know, any salt. I don't believe in that. And I think I explained to you last time why salt is important in old age, because it's important for your brain function. And if your level of salt is too low, you might even have a seizure. Old people get very confused. When I have little old ladies come into my facility and they call me and they're like, oh, she's so confused. She's climbing on a bed. She's taking her clothes off and walking out. And it's like, do the labs, do a urine test. And 90 out of 10 times, they either have a low sodium or they have a bladder infection. So, all right. So when you put it in there, you add a little bit of that vinegar sauce. I don't know what you call it. Okay. All right. So I'll finish the rest, but you get the idea. So if you do this and you put it in a basket and you give this to somebody, of course I take this off. You can buy plain jars in the store, and this is a nice little gift, isn't it? Okay. All right. So that was Pikliz. Did you enjoy that? Okay, you can try and make it. And you saw, the only thing I have in there is a cabbage and some peppers and vinegar and what else? Some cilantro or parsley. All right, so let's make we're gonna make a side of vegetables, sauteed. All right. I wash my fruit and veggies with white vinegar and baking soda. Good. And then get a brush, and because just soaking them may not get all the chemicals out, just get a brush and brush them. I need to watch your recent video that addressed why Panama may not be for you if. Yeah, you need to watch it. It's funny. It's just plain white vinegar. I would enjoy them back shots. Yeah, it's, you know, people think they hear about Panama and they're like, oh, Panama, all the veggies and the fruits are so clean and there is no chemical. I had to tell you, most of our food here is grown in Chiriquí province, which is in the west of the country. And it's mostly indigenous and lots of fincas, farms, right? And they do cattle and they grow potatoes, everything there. But it's just gorgeous, the mountains. Because if there's a dormant volcano and you know, wherever you have that ash in there, everything grows beautifully. But they tell me they're spraying things on your food. So don't think that you're safe because you're in Panama. Always keep, you know, your healthy habits. But one thing I have to say for Panamanian, I don't see a lot of people smoking here, that was very surprising to me. I remember going to Chile and it was the total opposite. You know, in Chile, there's a lot of smog in the air because the Andes Mountains surround and then everything stays in the valley and lots of people smoking. And of course, their winters were like our summers and a lot of kids with respiratory infection. Yeah. And the first time I went to Chile, I went to a cardiology conference because I was in cardiology for so long before I went into mental health and psychiatry. And they were having a lot of cardiovascular problem. In fact, there is, I think they call it Chagas disease or something they call it, that in places like Brazil, where they have a lot of cardiovascular disease. You know, in the West, because we have access to a lot of we have money, we can buy things. But in places like Brazil and Chile, they have a lot of cattle, so people eat a lot of beef, and the beef is wonderful. In fact, the beef here in Panama is traditionally tough, and people don't like it, especially Americans. You know, if you say, I want a filet mignon, well, good luck. They're going to have to get it to you from Argentina. They have Argentinians here, and people enjoy the beef from there over the beef that is grown here. I don't know, but that's what I've read. And so Chagas disease means people smoke a lot, they eat a lot of beef, and then, next thing you know, heart attack, strokes. One other thing that saddens me, I used to teach CPR, and, of course, I was in cardiology, that despite all the research and progress and focus on health that we have done, cardiovascular disease still remains the number one medical problem in America. So, I don't know what to tell you. People are running, people are going vegan. And even with veganism, I'll tell you, I follow or stumble upon a bunch of people who are vegan, coming down with cancer. I am not in a position to make, to have an opinion. What I'm saying is they get sick too. So, like somebody said in the chat, everything in moderation. Don't go crazy. That's why, I went plant-based to reduce my cholesterol and get rid of the weight, and it worked for me. So right now, I know I need to eat more protein. So that's why I'm eating fish now. I'm still not buying chicken because I don't know. Last time I tried, I got sick too again because my system has not gotten used to it, So when you starve your body of something and then you reintroduce it, your body, says, no, you got rid of it. All right, so now I'm chopping some garlic, and I have some red onions in here. Whew. I love onions. When you go to Chiriquí here in Panama, and there's a place called Cerro Punta. I don't know when you watch my videos, towards the end, I always have a clip about something about Panama. And I think last week, I had a clip about Cerro Punta. And you could see some of the pictures, the mountains. Oh my God, it's like God's country. But they do grow strawberries there, which was really, because I'm from Florida, Central Florida. That's where we grow strawberries too. So when I saw that, I was like, oh. And then I had a strawberry shortcake. Ice cream, I think it was, yeah. It didn't have any cake. It was a ice cream. Now again, garlic is good for you. Olive oil is good for you. Avocado is good for you. Okay? But my group from the plant-based, they're like, oh, olive oil is bad. Oh. You know why? Because a couple of months ago, they came out with a study that says any oil that is made from seeds, like canola, corn is bad for you. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I am eating my olive oil. I mean, in moderation. I don't do a lot, but yeah. Now, the things you really need to avoid if you want to be healthy, right? First of all, assess your risk for the disease. What runs in your family? You know that, right? If you have a family where you have a lot of heart disease, or you had a father, a brother die in their 30s and 40s, you have a risk. If you have people in your family, with diabetes, like like mom, dad, cousins, sisters, you're at risk. Okay? This is how you assess your risk. And then you take steps to try to reduce your risk, because you can get rid of those genes that you have, right? You just need to do something to mitigate that risk. Now, in my family, we don't have heart disease, but we have a lot of GI stuff in the tummy, and diabetes we have in our family. My mom didn't have it, but every single one of her sisters and brothers had it. So when my A1C was 6.2, I was like, oh, I got to do something. And I knew if I had dropped the weight, it would get better. And then when I checked it last year, it was 5.6. But I have to be diligent, right? So assess your risk and start moving. Exercise is good for everything. In fact, yesterday I posted that they even find that it helps with schizophrenia, that aerobics, walking, going on the treadmill, swimming, whatever you want to do, it helps. So you don't need somebody to tell you. You don't need to say, well, I don't have heart disease in my family. Why do I need to why do I need to exercise? Exercise keeps depression at bay. It boosts all the good hormones in your brain. It affects your affect, your view of the world, your personality, whether you're happy or sad. There is enough in this world to make us sad. So if there's anything you can do to reduce the likelihood that, you're going to, because, when you go to that menopause, depression is a real thing. Unsteady moods, you're happy one minute, the next minute you're bawling your eyes out, and you can't seem to control it. So, exercise. And then we talk a lot about eliminating processed food. Anything that did not come from the earth is probably processed, right? All the potato chips, all the things in the cans, everything like that is processed. How do you think they want to preserve something if they don't add salt and a bunch of chemicals? It's processed. So you need to start eliminating those. Cold cuts, ham, things that are cured, no bueno. And I think I started talking earlier about barbecued meat, no bueno. Because when you take the piece of meat and you put it on the grill, on the fire does something to the composition of the meat. It changes the chemical composition of the meat, and that char that you guys like, it's not good. It's cancerous. That has been proven over and over. Things like MSG. I'm anti-cubes, right? I'm anti-food cubes for flavor. MSG is no bueno, guys. That's why I say, just learn to season your food the natural way. Because when you keep eating, processed food, it's not good. There's nothing good about it. No. So, eliminate processed food. Find out your risk factor. Start moving. Make sure you get your sleep. I heard this doctor say this week, and I agree with her, that the two hormones in your body as you get older, as seasoned ladies, and we're struggling with weight and the belly fat, is cortisol and insulin. Insulin is the thing that you give people with diabetes, but you make natural insulin in your body. You know that, your pancreas, right? But when you overload that pancreas over and over by eating all this junk, the pancreas gets tired, and then you either can't produce enough insulin, or the pancreas is just trying to pump to kind of counteract all the high sugar stuff in your body, and then it becomes incompetent. So when they draw your level of insulin, if it's highly elevated, you have hyperinsulinemia, and that means you have the metabolic syndrome. It's not working right. Okay? So cortisol is another hormone that, let's see, I think we're good here. Let's season. Ooh, look how pretty. Now see, this is my favorite thing to cook, because if it's, pretty, I don't have to worry about it. Okay, where is my spinach? Okay, I had washed some spinach leaves, and I'll just put it in here, because that's how spinach comes, hearty, right? Okay. All right, let's season. Little salt, little pepper, paprika. The thing with veggies, you don't need to season too much. You can do salt, pepper, a little bit of spice, and then some acid, and then that's it. Oops. This is slap your mama. All right. Oh, I was gonna put that in here. I'm sorry, let me put this leeks, because otherwise I won't know what to do with it. Nice. All right, Mangu, we're gonna mash the plantain, and then we're gonna do what we call it herb oil. Remember my herb oil with the rosemary? We're gonna do the same thing. All right, let me get some lime. You always roll your lime to loosen up the juice before you cut it. Little trick. So I'm going to cover this for a minute and let it cook. And then I'm gonna take the juice out of the plantain. I'm gonna save a little bit because I might need it. All right, so now I'm just gonna mash it. You just smash the mangu, the plantain. I used to make, when I had the cafe on the weekend, I would make mangu, I'd make ackee and codfish. I mean, we can make that here one day. That's not unhealthy. Just the codfish is usually salt fish. So I have to soak it overnight and then change the water a couple of times to get rid of the salt. That's the only thing. Oh, I don't have ackee. Don't have ackee. I talked about that last time. Ackee is a heart of palm that you need to buy in can to be on the safe side, because if you get it off the tree, you might get the poisonous kind. She knows how to cook for sure. How big is your pickle? Pickle. You mean the coleslaw, the pickliz? I still have some extra that I need to put them in jars and give them to my friends. Those who can tolerate the heat, that is. Not everybody can tolerate the heat. All right. So now I'm going to be making that herb oil and mix it in here. Let's see. Cover that veggie. Okay. All right. Mangu. OMG. All right, let's put some salt and pepper. A little bit. I'm doing the adobo because the adobo has a little salt in it. That way I don't have to add any salt. And then this one's gonna need some acid, just like the veggies, okay? All right, herb oil, really quick. Yesterday I made rosemary oil for my scalp. I put rosemary, lots of rosemary because I have a bunch. And I put some cloves, let it cook, simmer slow, and then strain it. And that's what I put in my scalp before I wash my hair. Feels so good. You can't go wrong with herbs, seriously. And I'm not gonna ingest it. So, all right. So a little bit of herb oil, enough to put in the mangu. Now, when I watched this show with these people making it from the Dominican Republic, they had a lot. And then while the oil is boiling and they pour it on and it bubbles up, whew, yum. But because I don't eat a lot, I eat maybe once or twice a day. Because I don't eat breakfast. I'm not a breakfast person. And then I have another video where I talk about me trying to make a soursop smoothie. I bought a soursop this past week. And this is the second time I bought it. And it is not what I'm used to. It doesn't ripen right. It just goes dark and then, so I was disappointed. But I was able to scrape a few of the little pulp from there, and then I mixed it with papaya and I made a smoothie. Oh, that was so good. That was so good. All right, so we're gonna chop this garlic. I bought a garlic presser here. Quality is not that good. These are the kind of thing when I talk about, like in my video, being adaptable, that you may not find everything that you're looking for, that you're used to. Yeah. It can be a real bummer. All right, let me finish the veggies, because what I don't want is for it to overcook. There's nothing worse than overcooked veggies, you know, or your spinach turns brown. No. No bueno para mí. So I'm gonna pour a little bit of water. That's my little water jar. I boil it and then I pour it in a pitcher, and that's what I drink. Even though the water in Panama is safe, I just boil my water still, because I was doing it in South Africa. It's just out of habit. All right. Ooh, look, you guys, beautiful. So if I wanted to, you could also put a little bit of curry powder. I love to put curry powder and stuff like that and give it a little color. But because the plantains are already yellow, kind of, so I don't want that, because I want the contrast. So here is the acid goes in. Yum, yum. And we're gonna give it a taste and let it sit. And that's our side. How is not good for you? Okay. All right, let's have a taste. All right. Okay. And he just has a small amount of heat. What was that heat? I didn't put any jalapeno in here. I wonder if it's from the knife. Sorry. You turn it off. Okay, herb oil. Back on. So we're doing garlic. Now see, this is the thing when you're cooking. You don't want to forget something. Everything has to be in sync and you have to have your eye everywhere. So you don't miss something, you burn something. One of the skills of a cook. I said, one of the best skills of a cook, first of all, is to know how to control temperature, right? And you have to learn how to multitask. Okay, here I'm going to be putting the rosemary. I bought so much rosemary, it was like 80 cents. The pound was like $4. And I was like, I have to buy a pound? He said, no, you don't have to buy a pound. I love going to Merca, Panama. I love going there. When I go there, it's like a pilgrimage for me. I could spend all day there just going around, looking at things, smelling, touching. I say I feel like I'm going shopping for shoes. The food truck, I don't use enough acid. Yeah. When you're cooking your food towards the end, if the taste is a little, try a little acid. Usually it just balances everything out towards the end. And of course, if you're using herbs, fresh herbs, you want to put them towards the end. Now this is an herb oil, that's different. But if you're gonna put like cilantro, oregano, or anything like that, and the acid, do it towards the end. And it's just gonna bring everything together. Let's see, what else? I have garlic in here. I put salt. No, I already put that in there. So now let's put, I found some thyme today. And they look so different. I had a hard time finding thyme. It was weird. I was like, what happened? All right. All right, so it is garlic, rosemary, and thyme. Oh, it sounds like that song. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna turn this off. Bring the mangu. And we're gonna add the herb oil. And I think we're pretty much done, you guys. Ooh. Now how is not gonna be good, huh? You have herbs, you have oil, you have garlic. And seriously. Isn't that better than putting a Maggie cube or better than bouillon? I hope these people aren't watching because I never say anything good about their stuff. They were like, better than bouillon. Well, when I had the restaurant, there was a place in Florida called, Sam's Club, which is like Costco. And, you could think of this also like as if you were making mashed potato, or potato salad, right? Doesn't that look like the same? You could do this also with yuca, right? But don't call it mangu because mangu is typically Dominican and they get upset. Now we make sancocho, and sancocho is made all over Latin America and Central America, but it's just a little bit different. And here it's just chicken or beef, yuca, nyame, which is a type of yam, and corn. That's it. And the broth is really light. But in the Dominican Republic, they do a sancocho, but they put like 7 kinds of meat in it. Meat. And it's like, But I made sancocho here, and the locals are like, it's good sancocho. I'm like, oh, I'm so proud. All right, let's taste the mango. Okay, it needs a little salt, and it does also need a little acid. Okay, so un poquito de sal, no mucho, y acid. And also, when they were boiling the plantain, they added a little bit of lime juice during the boiling process. So usually when I boil plantains, I'll put some a little bit vinegar, but I guess that's where they put the acid. But it's look at the texture, it looks great. Now, if I use one of my little bowls to mold it, or you could use like ice cream scoopers, right? Yep, we're good. So, how are we gonna plate this? My mango. Oh my God, I don't even think I can eat that. Okay, so we don't have eggs, we don't have fried anything. So I am going to use this ramekin, smaller, so it's not so much, so I don't feel so guilty. And you know, plating is a very important part of cooking. Not when you're at home, right? But if you are serving it, don't just plop everything there. So next week I thought I would make a quinoa salad, like I said, and then top it with a piece of salmon, real salmon. All right. You do the same thing with rice or quinoa or any grain. Now, if it can come up, here it is. Voila. All right, so we're gonna do our veggie. Ooh, beautiful. But you know, having an egg, a couple of eggs, maybe once a week, is a good source of protein. So if you want to do that, you can. All right, and let's do a couple of slices. You know what? I'm gonna put a little bit of my slaw on the side, which would, or if you want, you could put the slaw on top. It doesn't matter. But it's going to give the dish a nice, you know, here in Panama, they do have Haas. I have seen Haas avocado. I don't think I've ever bought any because I prefer these. But there is Haas. But avocados are really good for you. It's a source of very good fat. So if you're not eating fat, you want to have some avocado once a day, that will do the trick. And here, even though it's no longer avocado season, they order them from Mexico and other places. Ooh-wee. All right. So I thought I would put a couple of slices of tomatoes just to add a little bit more of a splash of color. Did you know that if you have arthritis, you shouldn't eat too much tomato or tomato sauces? Yeah. I have a friend who had arthritis, and I was telling her about it. She said she kind of got rid of her tomato sauce in the can, and she said she feels a lot better. Tomatoes have something called lycopene, which is good for you, like pizza and pizza sauces. But just if you have arthritis, it seems to flare up something. So when you look at this dish, now what this dish is missing, there is not much protein in here. So if you wanted to put an egg or two on here, that would be fine, because then you need some protein somehow. No protein anywhere, but you have good fat, you got the veggies, so maybe you have some chickpeas somewhere, and I would not put tofu on here to add, for protein. But the Dominican, when they cook it, the cheese and the eggs, they're getting their protein. I don't think they're worried about that particular part of it, but anyway. So, isn't that pretty? Yep, that's Mangu. My way. All right, guys. Cooking with Maggie. Happy Sunday. Thank you. You're hungry. Oh, I'm so sorry. Rice vinegar, red or white vinegar. Vinegar is not bad. I put apple cider vinegar in my smoothies because it's good for me, but I can't tolerate the taste. So I just hide it in my smoothies. But just think, make sure you get some protein at least once a day somehow, whether you get some chickpeas, whether you get tofu. Green beans have a decent amount of protein. Quinoa has a decent amount of protein. I told you what happened. I went and I thought I bought quinoa, and then it turned out to be chia seeds. And then today, I picked a bag of quinoa. I got to the checkout line, and then the lady behind me says, "Ma'am, it's open." Started spilling all over the belt. I'm like, that's okay. I had to get it. I had to leave. But quinoa is a very good source of protein. Quinoa, I want to go to Peru the end of the year, and they said quinoa is everywhere. So I'm looking forward to bringing some back with me. Let's see. Depending on what you're cooking, you can also use a sort of soy. Yeah, I'm just not I don't like soy. Like, I don't like tofu. Last week or the week before, we made a tofu scramble. And what I did, after I drained it, I cut it in cubes, and then I dusted it with a mixture of seasoned flour and cornmeal. And then I tossed it in the pan to give it a little crust. It was palatable. Yeah, but just soy like that, I don't. You're welcome. Oh, Jess, so nice to meet you. Dallas, I'm so glad you stopped by. All right, guys. Yeah, I'd love some ackee. I have to go home and bring the ackee in my luggage. That's how I did. I bought 3 cans last time, and then I kept it because I wanted to treasure it, but I was craving it, so I cooked it. And we do have saltfish here, so that's not a problem. It's the ackee. I'm sure if I go to Rio Abajo, where they have a lot of Jamaicans, I'm sure I can find it. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's pretty too. Can't get rid of you now. I don't want to get rid of you. So do you guys, are you okay with like a loaded quinoa salad for next week with the salmon? I think that would be a nice dish for like a brunch, because right now it is brunch. It's not really, because I don't do breakfast. I mean, we can do, I don't bake like that for breakfast. If we were doing croissant and stuff, we'd have to buy it. At the restaurant, we used to do a croissant sandwich. I forgot what we call it, but we would put it on the grill, so we slice it, and we would put ham, cheese, and something else. It was so popular, so popular. With salmon, okay, we'll do it like that. I just pulled out chicken legs to bake. That's good. Chicken leg with the mango would go really well. And the chicken here, I thought it was all free range. No, it's not. It's not frozen. And you can't find a fresh turkey here to save your life. I was craving like a turkey leg. I think I'm gonna have to wait for the holidays and buy a whole turkey so I can have the turkey leg. What else would just let me know, guys, in the comment what other food you would like to see. I make I do a lot of curries, and curries are like a mixture of vegetables with some roots. Like I would put beans and squash and all kinds of things, and then sometimes I will thicken it with the hummus. Or if you do any kind of beans, you cook the beans, with lots of aromatics so they taste really good, and then you take like a cup and you kind of pulse it in your blender, or what do they call those other things, fancy thing, food processor, and then you bring it back to the rest of the beans with a lot of liquid, so it gives you the texture that you want. It's every Sunday, 10 o'clock my time, 11 o'clock your time if you're using the US, every Sunday, unless I'm going to be traveling in November, but I'll tell you guys ahead of time. How about a one-pot meal with rice? Yeah. Yesterday I was watching this chef. He did a plate of veggies like this one, except with his, he had sweet potato, all the peppers, I forgot what else, onion, lots of onions. And then he took a phyllo dough, the real thin one, in a pan, like a lasagna pan, and he put the phyllo, and then he put some rice, but he didn't cook the rice. I would cook the rice first. He put the rice, or you could do quinoa, and then he put the vegetable mix on top, and then he covered it with the phyllo, because they were like hanging on the side, so you have like it's covered up, and then he made a white sauce with what is it again? And he had some cheese in it, but he also put some yogurt. And I was like, I don't think I want to put yogurt on top of veggies. But anyway, it looked good. But the beauty of cooking is that you can take someone's idea and make it your own. You could change a few things here and there. I would not put that white sauce on top. Maybe I would do a marinara. I always have marinara in my house, in my kitchen, or in the freezer. You could put a nice marinara on top. And this is where, if you wanted to, again, because I'm still mostly plant-based, you could do some tofu you could put on top of that marinara to make it look like it's some kind of cheese. So you could do that. I don't have an Instapot or anything like that, but certainly I can be creative. Chicken and dumplings. Donna, you're getting me in trouble here. One pot meal. Okay, don't do the apple cider vinegar if you take blood pressure meds. Oh, my blood pressure is fine, even though I have medication. But since I went plant-based, I very rarely take it. But okay. And like I said, maybe a teaspoon. It's not a whole lot. But I also like to put lemon with the skin in my smoothies, and that's good for you. And this woman yesterday, I was looking, she's like 61. She looks like she's 16. She said she takes hot water with lots of lemon every morning. And I said, I'm going to try that. It can't hurt because lemon is good for you. I used to do water with lemon, but not that much lemon. She said she squeezes like 20 lemon. And it's like, I'd have to, I just don't think I need to hurt myself to be healthy. I want whatever I'm eating to taste good. Your doctor said no apple cider vinegar. There you go. At one point, it was like everybody was saying it was good for you. That's what I'm saying. Don't do the yin yang with these people. Those doctors, I don't trust all of them either. Some other stuff. Because when I went to see that doctor with my cholesterol, she's like, well, the recommendation is that I said, I'm not taking this medication. And then now they're saying it's so bad for you. I'm like, no. Do you have a chili recipe? I have a cornbread recipe that is a killer because it's not so healthy. It does have, well, we can leave the bacon out, but it's got lots of cheese. And then I put the jalapeno in it, and because you have to put sugar and stuff in your cornbread, and then chili. I have a good vegetable chili, or you want meat chili. You have to understand, if I cook stuff that I can't eat, then I have to find someone to give it to. But veggie chili is really, really good. And you use multiple beans and all the veggies. And then the key is a killer marinara. And I make a killer marinara. Yeah, with the white wine. Mm-hmm. I know. But you understand that the doctors have to follow the guidelines published by um, the board of whatever their specialty is, right? So if you're a primary care doctor, we do have standards we have to follow. If somebody comes and they have this problem and they're of that particular ethnicity, like they used to give all Black people amlodipine, and now they're like, when I had high blood pressure, it never touched me. I don't know how they came up with it works better with Blacks, right? And it's because that's what they're being told. And they kind of have to toe the line, because if they're forever, if by any chance they get sued, they're going to go back and say, did you follow the recommendations, right? So they may not agree, but they're forced to follow the guidelines, and they know. I was reading maybe 2 or 3 months ago that this particular institution, they said maybe half the research they approved were false. All the results they published were wrong. And I'm like, we're in trouble. That's what I say. Don't watch television and believe everything you see. Somebody's pushing that head, and just because it's profit driven. Research can be so biased. When I was in grad school, when you wanted a particular result, there are things you can do to get the result that you want. You're not going blindly. You can manipulate data. Yeah. And unfortunately, everybody has their own reason, motivation. And a lot of time it's not good. It's not for the patient. Cornbread Maggie with jalapeno. Oh, it is so good. Vegetable chili. Yep, I have a great recipe for that. Hot mess. Who's a hot mess? Yeah, I'm a little bit hot here. Are you saying I'm a mess? I just like to say it like it is, because, when you've lived this long, you've seen so much. People are just so self-centered. It's all about what's in it for them. It's very rarely about the people. And I'm just done with that. I am. I'm done with it. But anyway, I'm going to let you go, guys. If there are any topics, I know I tend to ramble a little bit, but if there is anything that, burning questions that you have, send them to me. We can just make a schedule and try to keep me on task so I don't go off on a tangent and just go on my soapboxes. I have many of them. All right, guys, it's lovely chatting with you. I think this format works better just on YouTube and not on Facebook, so that works. All right? You're very welcome. I'm so happy to hang out with you guys on a Sunday morning. Oh, yeah, I need to go somewhere. I'm going to go to a volunteer meeting. All right. Talk to you later. Have a beautiful week. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye. Okay, how do we end this? Nope, we're not sharing. Okay. She said a hot mess. I think she's talking about me. That's not nice.